In its simplest definition, the New Freedom was a collection of speeches Woodrow Wilson made during his presidential campaign of 1912. The speeches promised significant reforms for greater economic opportunity for all, while ensuring the tradition of limited government. The collection was later published into a book of the same name in 1916. The election of 1912 represented a pivotal moment for the United States. Americans had experienced the rise of U.S. corporations in an economy that was transforming from a second industrial revolution. There was a sharp increase in wealth inequality, along with a growing sense among Americans that large corporations were controlling the government. Illustrating the reform-minded sentiment of the country, the presidential election saw a four-way race between the presidential incumbent, William Taft, the former president, and the appointed leader of the Progressive Party, Teddy Roosevelt, the Socialist Party candidate, Eugene Debs, and Democratic candidate, Woodrow Wilson. It became a two-way race between Roosevelt and Wilson, who offered the public competing visions of how the country should look going forward. Roosevelt offered a reform package he dubbed New Nationalism. It called for leaving behind the tradition of a weak federal government and unregulated capitalism. In its place, Roosevelt offered a strong federal government that heavily intervened in the economy to break up large corporations not serving the public interest and guaranteed social justice for the working class. Wilson offered a competing reform package, New Freedom, that agreed with the public's concern over large corporations, but sought to keep government limited and out of the economy. Instead of the strong government intervention advocated by Roosevelt, Wilson sought reforms that would alter the rules of the game the market operated under, focusing on tariffs, the banks, and the trusts. Wilson argued that the high tariffs placed on imports protected large corporations who did not need protection from foreign competition. Instead, the tariffs allowed these large corporations to keep prices high because foreign imports were made uncompetitive by tariffs. He called for the first set of tariff reductions since the Civil War in order to spur foreign imports and bring new competition into the market. The American public believed the growing power of Wall Street was coming to dominate the country, and that their gambles often left the country in dire straits economically. Fresh in their minds were the Depression of 1894 and the Panic of 1907. Moreover, the typical American, small farmers and entrepreneurs, could not get loans due to the use of the gold standard backing U.S. currency, which ensured a low circulation of dollars in the economy. To address these concerns, Wilson supported the creation of a Federal Reserve System with the aim of providing more stability to the economy and making lines of credit more accessible to people of moderate means. On the issue of big trusts, Wilson actually took a tougher approach on large corporations than his political rival. Roosevelt wished to differentiate which big corporations needed to be broken up based on whether they served the public good. In stark contrast, Wilson believed that all large corporations, regardless of their civic mindedness, had to be broken up, because he felt their enormous influence over the economy effectively squeezed the life out of the America's entrepreneurial spirit. Further, Wilson surmised that in breaking up these large corporations, it would renew the market's ability to regulate itself effectively, bypassing any need for Roosevelt's large and intervening federal government. Wilson's New Freedom was his vision of an American future that was no longer dominated by the large corporations and plagued by the increasing wealth disparity arising out of the Second Industrial Revolution. By increasing competition in the market and leveling the economic opportunities for all Americans, Wilson believed he could renew the ideals of Thomas Jefferson and ensure the tradition of a limited government while the economy continued to modernize.